Hello guys and welcome to today's video, and today we're going to be talking about how to play Scrabble. Okay, let's begin. So the main objective of Scrabble is to earn as many points as possible before the tiles run out. The person with the most points wins. So it is a typical point earning type of game where each player tries their hardest to earn as many points as possible, and of course the player with the most points at the end wins. Alright, now that you guys are familiar with that, let's get into the requirements. So first, you would need a box of Scrabble. Of course, you should have that on your sides right now. And we would need 2 to 4 players for this game, and an English dictionary, which is not necessary, but it's good to have it on your sides. And of course, your smiles. All right, pretty simple. Now let's set up the game. First, get the board out of the box by opening tape. Just rip the tape off or just open the box and separate the board from the rack and the word pouch. So what that means is that if you open up the box, there should be a Scrabble board, and 4 different racks, and there should also be a word pouch. So open up a bag full of words and put them all into the word pouch. So there should be a bag that's full of letter tiles, and you guys should open it up and then put them all into the word pouch. So I will actually show a picture on the next slide, and it should explain more. Now, each player gets their own racks placed facing them. So again, I will show this on the next slide, but the rack is slanted and it should be faced on by each player, facing each player. And everyone gets 7 tiles to start with. Okay, here's a better picture here. Now you can see that the board is in the middle, and then around it sits 4 different players. And on the top right, you can see a word pouch. So that was what I was talking about when I said word pouch. So you guys should have something like that and put all the letter tiles into the pouch. And then, of course, the racks facing the players, as you can see in the picture. But you do not need to place any words like these on this board yet. You just have the board in the middle. All right, now, before we begin, one last thing to talk about the point system. So there are different specific points one can earn by completing words. So each letter has a point value, and when placed correctly, the player who placed them earned the points. So you can see in the picture here that the letters are categorized into different points. So letters A, E, I, L, N, O, R, S, T, U are all worth 1 point. And D, G is worth 2 points. B's, C's, M's, and P's are worth 3 points. F's, H's, V's, W's, and Y's are worth 4 points. K's are worth 5 points. J's and X's are worth 8 points. Q's and Z's are worth 10 points. So if you make 2 words at the same time, then the points for both words are added to that player. So what that means is that if there are 2 words that are connected like this, or any way that your created words are connected to another word, that means that the other word is also added to the point. I'll explain this later as we play the game, so just you don't have to worry about that right now. But let's actually practice scoring the words. Now you can see on the bottom here, it spells surprise. So how much point would the word surprise worth? All right, let's calculate that. So S is worth 1 point. So 1 plus U is also worth 1 point. SU is in total 2 points. R is worth also 1 point. So now we have 3 points. P is worth 3 points. So we have 6 points so far. And then R is worth 1 point, 7 points. I is also worth 1 point, so 8. S is also 1, 9. And E is also 1, so 10. So the word surprise is worth 10 points. So if you complete a word that spells surprise, then you earn 10 points. Simple, right? All right, let's move on then. Oh, and one more thing. There are also spaces on the board that increases the player's scores. Such spaces are listed below, which I'll show you right now. Oops, here. So you can see all the spaces that are on the board. So you can see the red spaces here, the light blue spaces, the blue ones, and the pink ones, and even a star in the middle. So what do those mean? So you can obviously tell that there are letters written inside of them, and you can see on the light blue ones that it says double letter score. So every letter that's placed on the double letter score is doubled. So let's say I place an A on the double letter score. That means A is worth 1 point. So what that means is that A is now worth 2 points because 1 times 2 equals 2. Just add one more point into that word and you should be good. Now the triple letter score. It does the same to the double letter score, but the only difference is that it triples. So multiply by 3 times. Now the double word score, which is colored in pink here, which is spread it diagonally from the center. The double word score doubles the point of your word. So it's different from double letter score. The double letter score, let's say you got A on the double letter score, that means A is just worth 2 points now, not the entire word. But if you have any of your letters placed on the double word score, that means the entire word score is doubled. So once again, what was the word? Surprise. Let's say I put S here, P here, U here, and etc. Surprise, I spelled it here. And then the letter of surprise is, of course, covering double word score. What that means is that surprise was worth 10 points, remember? Now it's worth 20 points. You multiply 2 to the entire word score. It's a pretty big point, right? So you might want to aim towards that if you're playing the game. Just a hint there. Now, final space is the red ones. Triple word scores, which of course is the strongest space as it triples your word score. It does not double it like we just talked about. It triples it. So it's important to have your letter on there as it triples it. Just remember that. And now, also forgot to mention the star. Well, when the game begins, the first player has to place like a letter of the first person's word has to be on the star space, and the star doubles their score. I'll talk about that a bit more right now. Okay, now getting into the gameplay. The person with the letter closest to A goes first. So let's say I have a B and you have a C. That means I go first because B is closer than C. But the person with the blank tile automatically goes first. I'll talk about the blank tile a bit later too. So make a word, any valid word. I forgot to just delete that, but it's not a letter, it's a word. Make a word with the tiles you have and place them on the board. Make sure that the first word placed crosses the star mark at the center horizontally or vertically. So you can first player goes first, of course, and then that player can make any word just with the letters that they have, letter tiles, and then they count the point up and record it. That's basically it for the first player. They place it horizontally or vertically, but remember that it has to cross the star mark. Now, again, it can cross like this, they can place a word here, or they can place a word like this, horizontally or vertically, both words. You cannot go diagonally. You can only go horizontally or vertically. Now, let's say it is the second person's turn and they have 3 options. So once once it's your turn, you have 3 choices. First choice is to, of course, place a word with the letters that you have, or the player can also redraw their tiles with the ones that you want to switch, or you can pass your turn. Just remember that you can choose only one of the options above, and the turn goes clockwise. So you cannot redraw the tiles and place a word. If you redraw your tiles, that means your turn is over. The next player goes. It goes just clockwise and goes in a loop like that. Now, continuing on with the gameplay. After the first player places his or her litter tiles, he or she will draw that exact amount of tiles used from the pouch. So the first player places their words across the center, and then let's say they said apple, APPLE. They used 5 letters. So they get 5 tiles back from the word pouch. So each player should never gain or lose tiles. They should always have 7 tiles. If they use 5 tiles, that means they gain 5 tiles. So after the first player goes, the next player must place their words adjacent to the previous word, either horizontally or vertically. So let's say again the first player spelled apple. They can connect the word anywhere on the word apple, which I'll explain more on the next page. I think the next page, yeah, is an example. So I'll talk through that. If your word connects to another part of the word, that word must also make sense in order for the player to earn points. Again, I'll explain that right now. So the first player placed friend as their first word. And you can see the point system here. F is worth 4 points, R is worth 1 point, I is worth 1 point, E is also worth 1 point, N is also worth 1 point, and D is worth 2 points. So add them all up, 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 4, which equals 10. But remember that the first player always places across the star space, which means is that star doubles the word score. So 10 times 2 equals 20 points. The first player now has 20 points. Now the next player goes. It goes clockwise, and the first player again plays friend, right? Now the second player decides to place another word. But remember that the other word needs to connect to the first word or the other words. So this player connected pension with the word friend. And now you have to make sure the both sides make sense. So friend and pension both make sense. So that player is good. So that player earned, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. The second player earned 9 points by spelling pension, and the first player earned 20 points by spelling friend. Now this continues on and on and on. And now the third player, let's say if this continues. The third player connected pension with noisy, which makes sense because pension is still there, and they connected the last letter with OISY, which makes noisy. So it is a great way to really practice your English skills and your English vocabulary as you will really learn new words while playing this game. Let's calculate this third player's points. So this third player has 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. But remember that there is a double word score. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 times 2, which is 16. So the third player, sorry, gets 16 points. And I highlighted to just let you see how it is adjacent, it's all connected, and none of these should be just out of anywhere. It should be connected to the other words. Okay, now, the special rules. If you have a blank tile, you can use it as any letter. It is basically a wild card for this game. So if you don't have any letter for that, you can just use a blank tile and say that that blank tile is that letter. You can also challenge the other player by pointing out that the word is wrong. So if you think that the other player placed the word, but if you suspect that that word is not in the English dictionary, then you can point out and challenge them. So the other player must look up the word at the dictionary, and if the word is not there, that player must take back the word and loses his or her turn. So you can challenge them if you think the word is wrong or if it is misspelled. Now, finally, talking about finishing the game. Once all the tiles are used in the pouch, the game is officially over. The player with the most points wins. Remember to keep your score as you go, or else you might lose track of it. But I trust in you guys, and I believe you will be excellent in keeping track of the score. So have fun. And before we end, let's watch this video, which recaps everything said. I'm not sure if the video is playing right now, but I think it's fine. Okay, so I will show you guys in class, and just be ready for that. And I'll also post it on my channel so you guys can see, and maybe you guys can watch his video too. I'll link that YouTube link into my channel so you guys can see. And now, most importantly, have fun. The point of this game is to just have fun, so don't stress out and just have a great time with your friends. And thank you for watching. And actually, let me just show you a Scrabble game. Before we end, just quick Scrabble match. Scrabble, let's say online. Here, I'll play against the computer. So, this is just a demonstration game of how the game should go. Alright, so the first player, um, the robot placed alarm, and she earned 14 points out of that. Now I have to connect my word connected to the word alarm. So my seven words are letters are AIOBRXT. So what can I use that to create a word? So, well, I have multiple options. Right now, I can honestly go for boat. Mm, if I play something like this, boat would make sense and I would earn 8 points. So if I click submit, that means I have earned 8 points. See that how my used words are all replaced? And those replaced words I can use against the player again. So now, her turn. She spelled eaten. Okay, so now I have my new set of letters, and then I can spell more words. Let's say eaten. I have too much A's and I's and RXQs, which do not use that often. So what I'm actually going to do right now is to swap my letters. So I don't need the extra A and I, and I would re-roll the Q and X. So swap and pass. If I swap, my turn is over, remember? Now I have some new letters which I can use on my next turn. I'll just show you a couple more examples before we end. Spell babe. And what I can do right now is remember that, let's say I want to spell boat ride. But remember that I forgot to talk to you in the lecture, but boat ride needs a space or a hyphen. So any words that require capital letters, a hyphen or a space cannot count. So here it's just marked in red. I cannot submit because it said invalid word boat ride. So boat ride requires a space or hyphen, so that does not count as a word. Instead, I should better just use um, so like alarmed. Remember that I can continue off of the word that she placed. So if she placed alarm, I can just continue on and say alarmed. And I wouldn't be using that much letters, and I would get a lot of points out of that because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in total. So what's that? And I right now have 19 points, and she has 31 points. So the game continues on like this, and again, just remember to have fun. The point is to not stress out and relieve your stress. And I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next lecture. Bye.